about you. And all I ever wanted was you. Still want you and need you by my side.
I'm still mad about you.
And all I ever wanted was you. You're still the one. You're still the one. I listened to that the other day. Oh my god. Whew. There's something therapeutic about singing a song, just like
a panty dropper.
I don't know. He drops my panties when I listen to that. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Will you have panties on? Is that what you're saying? Or are they metaphorically?
No, metaphorical panties. Like, there's a feeling that I get when I listen to that song. It's something deep down.
When a man sings to you? Not just any man. We're talking about Brian McKnight.
I think Brian McKnight he's transcendent. He's not just a man. He's something more.
He's chocolate daddy.
My God. I guess.
La 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 la.
He's just fabulous.
Hey Brian, can we get a few more laws on that track?
We did 7 laws. We need 12 laws, please. Welcome to the Higher Energy Superpower. This is episode 18 of the Turbo Duo Cast for your week of whenever the fuck you're listening to this.
There it is. That's the new part of the intro.
I thought about it. I was like, for the week of, what am I saying for the week of? It's whenever you guys
First
are
rule of
podcasting
is never date yourself. You know?
No. It's whenever you get to it. That's when it matters. My name is Salvatore Mata. I am your host, and to my left is my brother from another game show lover. He is the oral assassin.
Oof.
He puts the ass in classic gaming, everybody. Trenton E. Wright the third.
From left to right, from left to right.
So the reason why I started singing Brian McKnight is I kind of let the cat out of the bag.
You don't need a reason.
Well, but I was singing it because I was going to ask you about it when I got into the podcast, because I started to think about very similar songs, and I wanted to know if you had to choose between Still by Brian McKnight or Still by the Ghetto Boys, which one do you take?
Oh, Brian McKnight.
Still, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean, those are both like pretty amazing tracks, like legendary tracks.
Yeah, but I mean, Brian gets to your heart.
That's what I mean.
The heartstrings.
That's what I mean. If you have a bad day and you listen to Still on your way home and you sing that thing out loud, by the time you get home, you're whistling Dixie. You know what I mean?
They're just whistling dicks.
Why does everything go back to something that you can actually take advantage of?
Whatever your preference is.
Enemies by Post Malone or Enemies by Drake?
Ooh. It's got to be Enemies by Drake.
Yeah? It's
just too much of a banger.
Yeah.
I got enemies. Got a lot of enemies.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Worlds Apart by Hatebreed?
And we gonna see.
Worlds Apart by Hatebreed or Worlds Apart by Journey?
Ooh. You know what? I would say Journey, but just because the Worlds Apart has like the hottest breakdown at the end. We're worlds apart. You gotta that shit's the hardest.
Throw that in here. Throw that in here.
Worlds apart. Worlds apart.
Oh my God. We got a barn burner for you guys today. It's our Halloween episode. It is the Halloween special.
We're going to fuck all your pumpkins. And when I say pumpkins, I mean mouths.
There's a reason why they make 3 holes on the jack-o'-lantern.
The pumpkin's all wet, so my dick slides in.
We're not going to be able to post this.
It's the internet. There's no rules. There's no FCC.
Hey. The rules are there ain't no rules.
CC that ass.
So let's talk about some pickups. Why not? Why not we start the episode? We've kind of blown the doors off a little bit when it comes to pickups, and I want to let you go.
Doors as in guys.
I want to let you go and talk about something that I hate more, almost than
You're like, I hate
yes.
everything about you.
If there's anything that I
Why
loathe more,
I love you. That's like the perfect song for what it is, for what we're gonna talk about.
if there's anything I loathe more in video games, it is the trash heap monster, the abomination
What is that
of
from?
electronics.
Where he's just like, I loathe you.
Isn't odor.
Oh, is that right? I loathe you.
I loathe you.
I know it's a clip from some movie.
I don't know. Give us it into the comments, guys. Tell us what he's talking about. It's the Atari Jaguar, and I want you to tell for the people listening. I want you to tell them what it is that happened over the course of the past month, because it was a barrage. It was like Hurricane Katrina coming through my face.
First there was no Jaguar at all.
No,
And then there would be lots of Jaguar.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and tell your story.
So I've been helping one of my friends sell a bunch of his like toy collection online. It's funny because I got him into collecting wrestling figures, and then so he kind of fell out with it because like we stopped working because I got a new job and I wasn't working with him because I was kind of like I was influencing him basically.
Sure.
I was like, oh, I just got this new figure. He's like, oh, that shit's dope, and then he would go buy one.
Right.
So I was kind of like helping him
You
get
were
into
giving
the
him,
game.
yeah.
And so once like I wasn't,
You were the
really,
godfather
Yeah.
of his hobbies.
So once I wasn't really around, he kind of like fell out of it.
It's kind of sad, actually,
and
when
he
you
just-
think about that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I knew what you.
There's a subtle sadness there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of went with like just the downfall of WWE. Right now.
yeah.
So-
That makes sense.
but I mean, all the older figures are like all the characters they make are still good. But
Mhm.
anyway, so I was helping him like sell a bunch of his toys. So he got kind of the fever. He got that eBay fever, and he went into his basement and started grabbing a bunch of like just boxes of stuff and going through stuff, see if he could sell. It's like tons and tons of Funkos, and then he just sent me a picture. He's like, "Oh, I got this, I got this heap of crap," and I was like, "It's a Jaguar."
No wonder he said it was a heap of crap.
I was like,
Does he watch the show, or
No.
or did he just know?
he was like,
Did he just know, like everybody across the face of the planet, that the Jaguar
Yeah.
is a piece of shit?
well, and considering the only game you had was Cybermorph too.
Exactly.
And that was it.
What a packing! What a packing, huh? Hey, we want to showcase our console. What are we gonna give? A polygonal mess
Where did you learn to fly?
at 7 frames per second.
Where did you learn to fly?
Continue.
So basically, I told him, I was like, dude, I want it, and so he
He won't own a Dreamcast, everybody. He won't own a Saturn, but he wants
well,
a
I do
Jaguar.
have a Dreamcast now.
Oh,
Remember?
I know. I asked you. I texted you and asked you if you were going to keep it. You never responded to me.
Oh, no, yeah, I have it. So yeah, it sold it to me for a good price with just Cybermorph, and we were off to the
And you got lost.
we were off to the races. It was funny because I remember when it like originally came out, I kind of wanted to get one, just from
Why?
like the pictures. And well, I mean, I was 9. You didn't really know.
Okay.
You didn't really know any better. I mean, by the pictures in the magazines and everything.
there was a mystique about it. I know what you mean.
Yeah, like Alien. I mean, when Alien vs Predator came out, like I remember it in the magazine. It was like Atari Jaguar Game of the Year. Everyone was saying it was like Game of the Year,
Right.
and it looked like really good at the time too.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, went right to eBay. It was funny because actually I got like 12 games before I even picked up the Jaguar up from him because I had to like wait like a week to to meet up with him. And
12.
yeah.
That's right. You heard it right. 12 games.
And then it turned into like 19. I don't have all of them here, but it just so happened some guy he listed one game and then like 2 more, and then I just messaged him and I was like, "Oh, do you have any like other games for sale?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of offloading my whole collection." So and I asked him for like certain games, and he's like, "Yeah, I have those. I just gotta list them." So I was like, "Well, as soon as you list them, let me know because I'll try and scoop them all up
So
at
did
once."
you ended up working out a deal for all of them?
Yeah, for the most part, and I got them really cheap too. So I don't even know where to start. I got all the heavy hitters. I got Super Burnout. Most of them, he only had the cartridges, but there's a guy on eBay, My Atari, who has a warehouse filled with everything from Atari, and he had he had unused boxes. They were still they weren't even folded.
That blew my mind when I heard that.
Yeah,
that
so now I have Super Burnout complete, Ruiner Pinball complete, Iron Soldier complete.
Ruiner Pinball, we didn't end up playing.
No, we did. Remember?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep.
Zoop, which was on every system back then, but I have that complete now. And then actually, Attack of the Mutant Penguins is like one of the rarest games. I actually picked it up loose.
There's a good reason for that.
The cartridge for $25, where just the cartridge is going for like $80.
Wow.
And
but
then,
from the same
and then
guy?
No, I got it on offer up, the cartridge. And then this box I got from.
It just seems like everything fell into place on this whole thing. Like eerily fell into place.
Yeah. But mostly, yeah. Like, okay, so the one I got from the same person was Iron Soldier, Ruiner Pinball, Super Burnout, Wolfenstein, Cannon Fodder. Not Cybermorph, but I have the box for that. I got Ultra Vortec, Kasumi Ninja, and Tempest 2000.
just amazing. And Alien versus Predator.
Oh yeah, and Alien versus Predator too. But that's one of the ones that I need to get. I hopefully can find a box at some point.
You know, it's funny because so a couple of weeks ago, Trenton came over and we wanted to test out the system and play some of the games. And I gotta say, you know,
like I said, the time, they're not like if you're looking at it in 1994 eyes, it's not really that great.
So my perception of it is it's almost as if it's such a weird console. It's almost as if
it is.
It's almost as if you
it's
asked.
Intriguing.
It's almost as if you asked a bunch of aliens to kind of approximate what video games were going to be in the next generation, and they came up with something that was totally like off of from what like the actual path of video games was going. When you play some of these Jaguar games, it doesn't feel like anything you've ever played before, especially the exclusive type games like Super Burnout. I don't know if that's an exclusive, but that game plays like unlike any game I've ever played before. And the way that the graphics,
you don't think it's like
the way the graphics are made though, the way that the whole game comes together, just feels like something alien. It doesn't feel like anything like that's made by an actual.
It's like Hang On,
production company.
What's the one on this Saturn? It's like Hang On and
Manx TT.
Yeah, I think it's more like Hang On and like Outrun. Like it's kind of got like that Outrun, that fast pace.
It's ultra fast paced.
I know. Yeah, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but I really like it. And then like Wolfenstein 3D is like perfect. Doom's great.
Wolfenstein. So that's the. I can revise my hate for the Jaguar
now that we've actually kind of dug into it a little bit.
Yeah, because what it is today is not what it was in 1994.
Yeah.
So
we
can look at it through a whole nother lens. I'm not saying that it's good.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that you can appreciate certain aspects of it. In this case, there are certain games that honestly had either their definitive version or maybe like a really, really great version on the Jaguar. I don't give any credit to the Jaguar or not as much credit to the Jaguar because it was on, you know, if it was a great game, it was on everything. So maybe it was on there.
It's not that much better.
But Wolfenstein 3D is one of them that is, it could be the definitive edition of that game that's not on PC, you know, is Wolfenstein 3D. That game is so phenomenal. It's such a great game. And that's the true to life form right there, is the Wolfenstein 3D on the Jaguar is like the one that's on the PC. The only other one that would kind of compete is the 3DO version, but that is based off of the Macintosh version. So it's a little bit different. The sprite works a little bit different. This is more true to the original. So it's probably the more definitive edition of the home ports is Wolfenstein 3D. I was less impressed with Doom because I was missing the music. I know that you said you don't really miss that.
Yeah, I didn't.
But for me, there's a mood that's set with Doom, and and I keep going back to it, but it validates the 32X even more for me now. Like X is going to give it to you. Like 32X wins on that one.
Give it to you.
But
I guess it's like a preference because you are taking a hit in terms of like screen size and everything.
But it's still functional.
It's
it still plays well.
I know.
And it's based off of the Jaguar version, so it plays almost exactly the same. It's just a little bit smaller, but then you get the music. So that's the one thing that I appreciate with that. Now, that being said, Iron Soldier is a very simple looking game.
I know you really like that one.
It's just fun. It's just all you're doing is walking around, blasting things and smashing buildings, and it feels like a very early 3D game that they got the feel right. You know, with gaming, it's sometimes it's down to a feel. You know, a game can be made technically very well, but if it doesn't feel great, if it doesn't feel like you get that feedback that makes you feel like you're actually doing something, you're not going to get that robust experience. But I got that with Iron Soldier.
Robust experience.
Yeah. Another great one is Cannon Fodder, which is a really fun game, and that's another PC conversion that came over.
Yeah, no, that one's actually really fun to play.
Yeah, so
nothing like graphically spectacular.
Yeah. And that being said, like, listen, Doom plays well on the Jaguar. Yeah. It does. It's just that controller is just yucky. I mean, it's just
not. I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, because you're so used to just every other controller being somewhat similar. Then there's this big block.
It's a saucer. It's a flying saucer. Like I said.
But I mean, once you get into the game, I mean, some like the CBA, the ABC buttons are kind of they're not as good as like a Genesis or Super Nintendo the buttons. But I mean, after that, I mean, I know it gets shitted on for its the keypad. But there's actually some cool features when you have the overlay, like for like Doom, you can just click on the button and it goes right to the weapon or it pulls the map up right away. Mm-hmm. I mean, features like that are kind of cool, you know.
I thought that Alien vs. Predator was a fun like attempt at a first-person shooter, and there were some really redeeming qualities. I just think that game's sort of fallen off when you look at it through today's lens.
Yeah.
And you go back, and I know that it was one of those first games that actually did what it was trying to do. But I had a hard time with it in terms of there were areas where you couldn't help but get hurt because you had to step on the acid, and it kind of brought your life down.
It's like when you're playing Wolfenstein and Doom, it's
just so slow paced, and it's not, you know, it's probably akin to like a Robotica on Saturn, where it's just like really slow and plodding and just kind of going room to room, and it doesn't mean that has to be bad. And I actually would go. I would give it another shot. I would go back in.
I definitely want to like
and maybe get a guide and just try to play through it.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds like a lot of fun. You know, there's some redeeming qualities to the system. There are some good things, but you really have to kind of do it the way you did, where you just kind of like within a matter of a few weeks, it was like you had everything. You know.
I know.
And otherwise, it's just if it's not going to work out that way, I think it's. You're better served to take your dollars and spend them in other places.
I mean, I would have never gone on eBay and bought a Jaguar. You know, it just kind of literally just like fell into my lap.
That being said, the Jaguar itself is extraordinarily clean. Like this is one of the best Jaguars I've ever seen. It looks like almost brand new.
Yeah, and I literally think he played it like twice, and then it just was like packed away for 15 years at least.
The S video actually looks pretty damn crisp on it. Like, it looks really, really good.
And then I also mainly
don't doubt S video, man. S video is great.
Oh yeah, especially on a CRT. Mm-hmm. And then mainly because of the Jaguar, I actually picked up the Retro Tank, which has composite and S video connection, and that on a HD TV looks really good, especially with the smoothing filter on. And I tried it. Actually they shipped it with an S video cable for the Super Nintendo and 64, and the 64 games look really good on it too.
I would think so. I think the smoother kind of graphic filters probably look better maybe even better with S video.
It doesn't make
RGB.
It like crazy smooth, but it just enough where it makes it look more like solid.
Right.
Like, because I mean,
you can actually see what you're doing.
Especially on the 64, it's like it's
a blurry mess.
Yeah. It actually makes the game more enjoyable, and it really works. It works well on the Jaguar too with the S video cable.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm glad you own it because I think it's actually going to be good for us to maybe explore a little bit. You know, now that you have it, we can kind of explore the library a little bit.
Yeah, there's only like a few more games I really want to get. Missile Command 3D, I have the box for it. That's like one of the most rare, like the hardest to get games. And Power Drive Rally.
Oh, Power Drive Rally. Yeah, there's another racing game too. Checkered Flag.
Oh, I actually just bought that today.
Did you get it?
Yeah, it was only like $18.
That'd be kind of a cool game to kind of
I know
compare and contrast to like Virtua Racing.
I heard the frame rate's really bad on it.
No, I know. I've seen reviews on it. But it's still it's you know, it is a part of history. I mean, we joke about the Jaguar all the time, but it is a part of history. It's kind of a cool, neat thing. The one other thing I like is the box art. I think the box art is actually really cool for a lot of these games. That they, you know, the illustrations that we were able to create, like that Iron Soldier one. Like that, you can make a poster out of that.
They do look really good. Like even the Kasumi
Ninja one looks great. Look at that.
I know.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. They look kind of cool. You
Even,
know, when you
even
got them all.
the Super Burnout one looks good. Ultra Vortex.
Yeah, when you got them all stacked up next to each other. How many people have like complete box copies of Jaguar games?
Nobody.
You know?
No, nobody does. Nobody
So
does.
who knows? I might end up going for the
Go
whole
for the whole set.
56.
Wow,
Complete,
what a thing to shoot for.
you know, why not? I'm already like halfway there.
I know.
And I got like all like the heavy hitters already.
The other ones can't be that much expensive. You know?
Yeah, I mean, there's expensive games, but there's nothing like you're not spending like
$400.
Yeah, I mean,
On Burning Rangers.
Like the most expensive ones are around like 100, like complete. You know, which is doable. As opposed to paying like $800 for Snatcher on Sega CD.
Yeah,
even more.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Is that what it's up to?
Yeah, I don't. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
It's like, oh, you think your stack's bigger than mine?
This one? I'm just thinking about. I don't think I only want to talk about like probably just 2 games.
Yeah.
And then we'll move on.
Well, you could just bang them out, just say which ones you got, and then.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the games that I got, I'll put aside the ones that I want to talk about. So I really like RPGs, and I've owned Phantasy Star 2 for a long time. In fact, I got Phantasy Star 2 in the Legendary box that we got back in like 2001 or 2003.
When we were in high school?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I got the loose cart when that was one of the ones I kept.
Oh wow.
And actually, I'm playing through that cart, so I can't actually get rid of it just yet. But I did get a complete in-box copy of Phantasy Star 2. I love the black box games. There's something about that era. I got my Genesis in '91, and so there's something about that black box era that's sort of the Genesis to me, you know. And it's funny.
The Genesis of the Genesis.
Yeah, I know that you kind of got in during like the red box era, so
yeah,
that's kind of a cool difference between the two. But I don't know. There's just something iconic about the black grid pattern, you know, that's on these games.
Yeah,
and
it's almost like it's going to be a solid game.
Yeah, well, it's almost like the early Genesis had its own flair too. It was a lot of it was before they came out with the Gems sound driver, so the games sound a lot different to the games that were made sort of in that next phase, where they used a lot of that. They didn't use for all the games, but for the Gems driver. It's just,
is that a Phantasy Star map?
Yeah, so the Gems driver is what gives the Genesis that farty noise that people always make fun of. But the Genesis actually has really good sound. It's just who's programming for it, kind of like anything else. But one of the other things was, so I got this set. It was both games together, and the Phantasy Star 2 came with the map, which, you know, I don't know if there's any true value to this, but I thought it was just cool to have, and it's a little beat up, but you know, to have the map kind of come with it. I mean, I thought that was special. It didn't come with the hint book, but it came with the map, you know. And I gotta tape this thing up because it's hella beat. But
it's a hell of a map. What is all that on the back?
So it's basically just telling you what weapons are best and what are used by each of the characters.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a different time, my friend.
F&A.
It was a different time. So we got that, and then it came in, you know, in a bid with Phantasy Star 3, and I already owned Phantasy Star 4 and Phantasy Star 1, so this kind of completed my set.
Yeah.
You know, so to speak.
You got the Oreo filling.
Yes, the middle two I was able to,
you got that
because I already had 1 and 4.
So you got double stuffed.
Yeah, so we'll put these back here
on display.
And I checked the batteries. The batteries work. That's always a concern is the batteries. One game that I've wanted for a long time that unfortunately I gave to you as a gift.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because we discovered how amazing of a game it actually was.
Yeah.
And that's Predator 2 by Arena or Acclaim or however you want to call them.
Yeah.
Just an amazing, fantastic game.
Yeah. Get all that money and drugs off the street.
Alien 3, which is a game I've always wanted to play. It's considered kind of like a sleeper classic. In a way.
It's weird because I remember
there's a version on Super Nintendo as well.
Yeah, I remember buying the Super Nintendo version from Stop and Shop Video, and it was just ahead of my time because I was like
what to do and where to go.
9 at 10, and 9 or 10 at the time, and I was so confused as to I couldn't.
That sucks. That sucks because it's like you probably didn't have a manual with it.
Oh no, it came in like those big
those
big plastic cases the game came in.
Just this Arena label. It's just I don't know. I'm sure there were some crappy games, but there's some good stuff in here too.
I mean, yeah, because they put out Mortal Kombat, they put out
the
WWF games at the beginning.
Yep. Another black box game. It's not a really expensive game. I mean, it's like $20 complete. Is
really?
Forgotten Worlds.
A forgotten favorite, you would say.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost a launch game for the Genesis, and another kind of it's one of the Capcom classics that the Sega team actually converted over. They licensed it.
I don't remember if I have that or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I had a copy, and I realized I only have the manual. So
you just randomly had the manual.
I just have the manual. I thought I had a copy of the game and the manual, and maybe we just played yours back in the day, and I thought it was mine. So. But I got that now, and then
you were able to get it one without the manual.
No, I found it with the manual. I have an extra manual, so if you need a manual, let me know.
Yeah,
I'll give you the other one. I'll happily give you the other one.
Nice.
Yeah, it's interesting though because the two manuals. I was looking at the other one, and it looks a little bit different. Like the color, I don't know if it's faded, but the coloring looks a little bit lighter.
Maybe it was like a second run print or something.
Yeah, it's right over here.
Like after the initial release, maybe they like printed up another set.
See, like look at that. Doesn't that look a little weird?
Yeah, it's a little more.
It's like a little lighter.
He's a little more orange.
So
yeah, it's lighter.
I don't know.
So is extra rare.
Yeah, and then the two ones I wanted to focus on a little bit more, maybe not. I don't know. It's we talk about Sylvester Stallone all the time and how we like his games. So this is one I've been eyeing for a while.
Don't I got some kind of rights?
And that's Judge Dredd. That was good. Another Acclaim game, but it's
Acclaim game.
I feel like these games were sort of like wrote off by that point, and people were focused on the next generation, but. There was Acclaim
and movies that it was just
right.
Not good.
But this game is actually not. I mean, I played through the first couple levels and it's very kind of
like your standard kind of side-scrolling action
it's
platformer.
It's not as loose playing. Like it's very sort of like he almost moves like RoboCop in a way.
Yeah.
Very kind of like just stilted a little bit. But the game has rules that it abides by, and it plays very well, so it's there's nothing wrong with this game.
Yeah, I gotta go back into the Demolition Man.
I feel like they're sister games in a way. They almost look like very close.
Yeah.
I think Demolition Man is considered the better game out of the two, but again, this is the kind of thing where you can go back and maybe discover some games that you guys haven't played yet. It's not Sonic the Hedgehog, it's not Streets of Rage. There's other games out there that you can discover and have a lot of fun with. And this is a $20 game.
Yeah.
Complete. I got it in a lot of 4 games for $25 shipped.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got this Jurassic Park, Sonic 2, and then this gem that I'm going to talk about here.
The listing was like Judge Dredd and 3 free games.
And 3 free games.
And didn't even have the games listed.
No, it didn't. So I asked, and that's the thing is like talking to sellers on eBay is a good thing because sometimes you can find out that they've got 100 Jaguar games that you might be able to cut a deal with, or they tell you a little bit more about the listing, or they send you a picture. You can get them for a little bit cheaper. And then this gem right here, that I swear to God I wanted to throw out the window, but I think it's just a good example of
it's kind of fitting with the times since
how not to make a game.
Everything is virtual right now.
Yeah, virtual reality, and that is that is Virtual Bart on the Sega Genesis. Another Acclaim game, but there you go. Acclaim gets a bad reputation for garbage like this.
You could take a virtual shit on it.
It's pretty much a physical virtual crap. It's a game of mini games, but not a game of mini games that have any substance.
It's not Wii Sports.
They literally just crapped this out probably in 6 months just to get it out. You look at this game just from afar and you say, oh, that's kind of endearing. There's sort of like a Mario Kart style mini game level.
I mean, that's how they got you. That's how they got you back in the day. Like they would put like if you look at the screenshots and the images of you, like this actually looks really good.
Looks really good, right? And then you get into it and you realize how mundane and one-dimensional and grating the controls are, and the game is over before you even know it. There's one game that's a water slide, and you have no idea where the hell you're going.
Where the F?
The water slide is just going this way or that way, but you're in like a first-person sort of like behind the back, maybe a third-person view. And you feel like you have no control over where you're moving or where you're going.
They're trying to steal the Sonic 2 bonus stage.
Pretty much. And, after playing this game for maybe 15 minutes, like if you were a kid and you got this as a gift, I would be pissed off.
Reminds me of the time I saw a 60-year-old guy go down a water slide.
Yeah.
And his bathing suit fell off.
Did it really?
And it's just his big, hairy balls were just hanging out. Holy jeez, I wanted to lick them.
I really don't like Virtual Bart, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And you like licking virtual balls.
Yeah. You won't throw it out the window right now.
Oh, the window's not open. I'd have to knock the screen out. But this is if you find this for a couple of bucks, try it just to experience the pain. Or if you really hate somebody and you want and you don't want them to know,
It's a stocking stuffer.
Give it to somebody. Or have them play it and just lock them in the room for about 4 hours.
You won't give that for someone and put some Snickers in there for Halloween.
What do you mean?
Trick or treat. Just give him a virtual Bart.
Give him virtual Bart. Can you imagine like a 7-year-old kid if you just threw this in? He wouldn't know what the hell this. He thinks it's a movie. He's like, is this a DVD? But
They probably think it's a chocolate bar.
I just don't know how Sega. Has this got the Sega seal? I don't know how.
You're acting like this is like the worst game ever. There's games that are worse than virtual
But
Bart.
how does this pass inspection? How does this get gold?
It's Bart. They're like, oh, we're gonna make money on this too. It's The Simpsons.
You made a lot of kids cry.
Like all the Simpsons games were bad back then. They weren't good.
There's some that have endearing qualities. What about what about the Space Mutants one?
It's not good. I mean,
it's got a progression though. You're actually on an adventure. You have to do
I
things.
understand.
In this one, you go into an arcade and he gets into this virtual reality wheel that he spins on, and that just decides which mini game you play.
No,
and they're all terrible. I mean, they're all terrible. Even
know.
the ones you get into one, you're like, oh, this is good. I'm enjoying this, and then you realize it never ends, and you die every time. It's just an act of futility. I'll let you play this later. You can play the racing game. It's terrible.
Man, I don't need to.
Anyways, so
You know what? I'm gonna enjoy it just to spite you.
let's get into some show notes for our last podcast. And the only show note
Hurry up.
The only show note I have is on Super Dodgeball.
Kunio Kunio Kun.
Yeah, and just to give you guys a little bit of like, Trenton was like, man, you're all sucking off Super Dodgeball, and it's
I was.
well, you were like, man, you're like crazy into dodgeball, huh? And it's like, and it's not so much that I'm crazy into dodgeball, but it's like, imagine a tree growing, right?
I'd rather not. That's a slow grow.
Right, but when the tree is young,
You fuck the tree. You gotta fuck the plant.
you let it mature. My point is that when you grow with something, when you're young and you kind of grow with something, it almost becomes a part of you. So like a lot of the stuff that we played as kids, even if it was not great, it just becomes a part of our existence.
Yeah, that's
and
like
so,
The Simpsons, the Space Mutants.
right.
It's not like a really good game, but
No.
like yeah,
It's not as bad as this shit.
no.
But what I mean by that is like, is Super Dodgeball an amazing game? It's not an amazing game, but it's important to me because
Hey,
it was
it's
a
just
part of my
gotta
childhood.
It's just got to be fun. That's all that fucking matters.
So EGM, this is EGM's review in it was at the September October episode or issue, which is it was the third issue of damn it, listen to me, EGM. Had too much sugar earlier. So it got a 5, a 3, a 5, and a 6
out of 10,
out of 10.
a 3?
A 3.
Didn't we? Wasn't there this about some other game we were talking about, and they were like,
that's unplayable.
yeah,
We were talking about Smash TV.
yeah, yeah.
A 4?
Yeah,
A 4?
It's saying it's
Playoffs?
Yeah,
You kidding me?
yeah. That's basically saying the game has no redeeming value and it's unplayable.
But then listen to what they say. He says, okay,
for the three.
CSG ImageSoft has cooked up a sports game that doesn't have attractive play mechanics or cool arcade-style play or much of anything to boast about. The game suffers from bad flicker, repetitive gameplay, and a lack of interesting features. This one got boring very quickly. So it's almost like he's more objecting to the actual aspect of what the game is than it is more so like how the game was produced. So a 3 almost doesn't even seem like a correct score for what he's saying. It almost sounds like he's just like meh about it. Like he should have given it a 5 instead of a 3.
I understand what he's saying about how it can get repetitive, because when I was playing it, it was like I just kept doing the same move over and over again and got all the way to the end. That
Right.
running jump
Right.
ball, and I literally just did that like
Right.
6 times in every game, and then I got to the end.
Right.
So I get that, but to give it a 3 is, if we're going by what a number stands for,
Right.
a 3 is basically saying
They were harsh,
unplayable.
but they were harsh back then. They were
Harsh but fair. Harsh but fair.
Yeah, they were tough.
I don't give a, that was before they were getting their money slid in.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Fucking wash,
You want a 9?
you better wash them dollars.
Oh man. All right, let's get into our modern retro moment.
It's still real to me, damn it!
So we're gonna set the stage here, right? About a month ago, I think it was about a month ago,
A month.
Microsoft bought ZeniMax Media. You heard about this?
Oh, I told you about it.
Thank you. So,
Just answer the question,
I'm
fat
glad.
boy.
I'm glad you heard about it. They bought him for $7.5 billion. Just for context, Disney bought Star Wars for $4 million. Star Wars.
4 billion or million?
Billion. Excuse me.
Okay, yeah.
They bought him for $4 billion. So I'm not here to have a modern discussion. I'm actually bringing it back. Okay. Now they bought franchises like Doom, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Wolfenstein,
And Shane Douglas.
Dishonored, and Shane Douglas. So I don't even know what the hell that is.
Because he was the franchise.
Oh, gotcha. I'm with it. So that could be a huge game changer in sort of the
In gaming.
Microsoft versus Sony war, so to speak,
Was
right?
it Bethesda or whatever?
So they bought Bethesda,
Yeah.
which is a part of ZeniMax,
Yeah,
right?
it's like Fallout, Doom, like just fucking every big
Everything.
game.
So let's, and I don't know what's going to happen. They say that Microsoft might actually make a multi-platform game still, or whatever they're doing now with the Game Pass stuff. My question is this to you guys, and this is what I want you to ponder. And
Where's all the money going?
I want. Is that your Donald? That's great.
No.
So my question to you, Trent, is let's take this back. How would something like this have worked in, let's say, 1995? So let's just say
95, huh?
Ha.
Before the PlayStation came out?
Yes. Let's just say
So when you say 93 then, we're talking about Super Nintendo and Sega?
let's say at the beginning of 1995, Sega buys Acclaim. Let's put it this way, okay?
It's still not as it's nowhere near as big as Microsoft buying Bethesda and all its subsidiaries.
Okay.
I mean Acclaim, they're not like, it wasn't like the system mover.
Can you let me finish?
Well, you asked me the question.
I know, I'm not done.
Well, you did say that.
I'm not done. So we all know how the consoles wars went in the 32-bit era. We all know what happened. We all know what the result was with Sega, right? R.I.P. God. But what would have happened now if you had Acclaim? Now, Acclaim was one of the biggest supporters of the Saturn if you look at all third parties. But let's just say Sega buys them. And let's say that a lot of the games that came out in 95, 96, 97, 98, let's say now they didn't come out. Nintendo didn't get any of those games. PlayStation doesn't get any of those games, right? So I'm going to name you some of the games that came out in that era, and I want you to tell me if this could possibly change the outcome of that era. Would there have been possibly something different here? So, Separation Anxiety, which is a sequel to Maximum Carnage.
No.
True Lies.
Nope.
Judge Dredd.
Nope.
Alien Trilogy. College Slam.
No.
Batman Forever, the arcade game.
Nope.
WWF In Your House.
No.
Turok is the big one for me. If Turok was made for the Saturn instead of the 64.
Okay.
Extreme G.
No.
Riven.
Are you doing this on purpose?
That was a joke.
You're going like from shit to shit. So are we stepping out of the shit yet?
An NFL Quarterback Club, because as we know, Sega during the Saturn era had the worst, most putrid NFL presence ever. So if they had the Quarterback Club games, right?
I'm still saying no to everything.
Okay. So Acclaim doesn't move the needle at all.
And not with those.
I'm talking about all of Acclaim's online. I'm just giving you some examples of.
Well, those were all terrible.
Of Acclaim games that came out.
Those are not. Those are not like. There's a couple decent ones in there, but it would. I don't think it would affect.
So would there be a third party? Let's say because Sega got pushed out, but let's just say Sega bought another third party. Let's say let's go crazy. Let's say Capcom, or Konami. Could that have changed the landscape, or do you think that there was too much already in terms of a force moving forward with the PlayStation that there was really kind of nothing to stop it?
Yeah, because what kind of, I'm just trying to think of what, because you're talking about
Konami and Capcom actually did not have a massive presence really until the PlayStation 2. It was more Namco that supported.
Because if you would have said it was when the NES was out, and then, man, I don't know. It's kind of hard to think of just one company.
What I'm just saying is that Sega. This is the part of Sega started their downfall in like 96. 95.
No, but I'm saying it's kind of hard to think of just one company that can sway the whole consumer to one system.
All right, so if Sega bought Nintendo,
well, I don't even know if that would work still.
Do they win the console war if they buy PlayStation and Nintendo?
It's kind of. I mean, you'd have to present that as in before the Super Nintendo and Sega would come out, I guess. But the thing is, Nintendo, the brand itself has just them. They have the games that sell the system.
But, I mean, it could be argued that that's the reason why it didn't sell as much, because they didn't have as much third-party support. The 64.
Oh yeah, the 64.
PlayStation had. There was so much crap on the PlayStation, but it was the cool console.
No, I understand.
But extreme games probably sold as many PlayStations as Tekken. It's like it was the cool system to have.
I just can't think of a company that would. I guess you could say that would jump to one company and put the other one out of it. Like it would just be like, I don't know. Yeah. Sales would be, I don't know, 3-1.
There was no like big dog that was bigger than the rest of them that would have a bigger influence.
I mean, even with Microsoft buying all those franchises, I mean,
PlayStation's got a lot of franchises.
I know, it's still
maybe levels the playing.
It's gonna help, yeah. Because I mean, the PlayStation outsold the PS4 outsold the Xbox One by a wide margin. Oh yeah. So yeah. You didn't. I don't know. Randomly, I looked it up.
I know that they were in the beginning of Microsoft with the whole, DRM thing, and
no, I did the. I don't know the number for sure, but it's. I think it's millions more that this is PS4 sold as compared to the Xbox One. So with Xbox doing that now, it might
tip the scales a little bit.
It might shorten the gap in between. But people are so ingrained as I'm PlayStation or I'm Xbox, Even though there's not really that much of a difference now, but I mean, I guess that could sway someone that's like, I really love Doom.
These Elder Scrolls heads, these Fallout heads,
yeah, I know.
These Doom heads. It's like, if you can't play that on your PlayStation, you almost have to make that decision unless you play it on PC.
Yeah,
But I guess the summation of all this is that Sega kind of it's the decisions that they made as a company that were really affecting everything, and their downfall was not related to necessarily software decisions. It resulted in software decisions, but it was
turmoil
really,
within their own company.
Yeah, it was the infighting,
Sega of America and Sega of Japan.
Yeah, and I think I agree. I don't think it really would have made a huge difference, even if they bought Konami and Capcom. I don't think it really would have made a big difference. You had the PlayStation that was had exclusivity with Mortal Kombat 3, which was a huge game at the time. Mortal Kombat 3 was a big deal for people to say, I'm going to get that on PlayStation and it's going to be almost arcade perfect. Yeah. And I can't get that on Saturn. So it was they were basically buying up these licenses to have these games as exclusives, and so people were like, okay, that's a game that caters to the American audience, and I can't get that on over here. Then,
so I mean, I guess in a way that it kind of did kill the Sega brand in a way.
It started when the Saturn came out. Yeah, it really started when the Saturn came out. It's just, I don't know. I think about how things could have been different if certain decisions were made, but it really goes at a company level, what their philosophy is and how they manage their brand and their company, which is the perception that consumers get, and then the decisions that the consumers get based off of that to say, you know what, this seems like it's not a place that's going to be thriving or might be dying. You know,
It's like the Montreal screw job.
I truly believe that Bret Hart screwed Bret Hart.
You know, it's
exactly.
Why
Brett
Brett screwed Brett. Sega screwed Sega.
Right. You know, all this time Brett's been looking around trying to find somebody to blame when all he had to do was look in the mirror.
Brett screwed Brett.
Who said that?
Vince McMahon.
You got to be strategic. Your
strategery.
Yeah. Let's do our system launch special, and then we'll get into our games. How's that?
Then we'll bang it out.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be a quick one. So we've got one slot open left for our semifinal.
I'm good at filling slots.
Right now we have the NES versus the SNES in one semifinal, and on the other side we have the Dreamcast awaiting the winner of the Genesis and the Nintendo 64.
Wait, aren't we waiting for the NES and Saturn? We have to do that?
No, we did that. NES beat Saturn.
Oh, you just
that was a couple of podcasts ago.
Oh,
I just haven't written it in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Remember we talked about Mario and we talked about Virtua Fighter and Panzer Dragoon.
Yeah.
So the launch games for the Genesis: Altered Beast, Space Harrier 2, Last Battle, Super Thunderblade, Tommy Lasorda Baseball, Thunder Force 2.
Damn, Last Battle, huh? That was a launch game.
That was a launch game.
Fuck.
Nintendo 64 launch games: Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings 64. So a dreadfully small amount on the Nintendo 64.
As I say, quality over quantity.
I hate when you say it like that. So I remember playing Last Battle when I first saw a Genesis,
and it was also my last time playing Last Battle.
And we knew back then, and I was 7 years old. We knew back then Last Battle was horrible. It was terrible. It was not good. It's not even anywhere as good as its predecessor, which is Black Belt on the Master System.
Maybe they were like, we got every other genre covered, and maybe like we need a fighting game too. I don't know.
I would think that the best two games on this whole list are Altered Beast and Thunder Force 2. Those are the ones that I think are the best. When I look at this list and I think about the most iconic games, the ones that kind of set the precedent for the system.
I would say Altered Beast and Space Harrier.
Space Harrier 2. At the time, people were saying that it was very, very close to the first game, and it was a launch game actually for the Mega Drive in Japan. It's an impressive game, with the scaling. I guess you could put it in there, but it's not the first of its kind. There was Space Harrier before that.
But Thunder Force isn't. I mean,
Thunder Force 1 is nowhere. Thunder Force 2 is light years ahead of Thunder Force 1. Thunder Force 1 came out for Japanese computers. It was low color, slow moving, and this game was just a couple of generations higher than it. It was Thunder Force 1 wasn't even an NES quality game.
Okay.
So I would say what I can say about this here is that these games are all either decent. The Last Battle, notwithstanding, either they're decent games. Even Super Thunderblade is decent. It's not. It's not even a really a great approximation of the arcade version. But
I remember the what is it? The Master System. I used to play on the Game Gear with the Master Gear converter.
You're the only one I know that did that. How did you get a Master Gear converter?
Jesse had one.
He did?
Yeah.
Did he have a Master System?
No, he just had the Master Gear converter.
Where did you get a Master Gear converter? I never saw those.
I don't know. He had one, and I remember that was like one of the... He only had like a couple Master System games, and that was one of them, Super Thunderblade.
Did you remember liking it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I've played Super Thunderblade more recently because you got me a copy, and a loose copy of it, and it actually plays pretty well. I think it's a decent game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like memorable.
Altered Beast is fantastic. I don't want to hear anybody say anything bad about Altered Beast. It was a great showcase for the system. It was even actually more advanced in ways than the arcade version with the parallax scrolling.
Ah, yes.
So I would say the two real standouts, and if you want to throw in a third, there would be Space Harrier 2, Altered Beast, and Thunder Force 2. Tommy Lasorda Baseball is good. I think World Class Baseball and the TurboGrafx is better, personally, playing the two.
Hey, that's your opinion, and you can have it.
But none of this really matters, and I'll tell you guys why. and it's 3 words: Super Mario 64. And
That's like the trump card you put down on like anything. You're like, boom, got it.
it's really, really hard to beat games like Super Mario Brothers, which we talked about last time, or Super Mario 64, because they just have such weight in history. Those games influenced so much about gaming's future. They are games that are still talked about as the top 5-10 games on the system
Top
themselves.
5 dead or alive.
None of the Genesis games on here. And as much as I love the Genesis, and we talked about how I think it might be the best system ever, when you look at everything about it, the launch was pretty subdued. It was a pretty subdued launch. There were some games here. They showcased the arcade quality, graphical capabilities of the Genesis, but these are not standout titles in the way that Super Mario 64 had with gaming itself. You know, I've talked about the first time I played it. My thumb had an orgasm, literally moving Mario around that water level when I was in that Toys R Us in 1996, chasing after that rabbit. It was an experience that made you feel like you don't even like, is this real? Like, you have to pinch yourself. It's just
I remember I rented the system from Video Galaxy with Mario 64.
That sounds amazing.
I think it was like $20.
Was this before it came out?
No, it was just like
Right
like
then?
the day or the day after.
You know how rare it was to find a 64 in the wild in September, like October? They weren't anywhere. You couldn't find them. It was the hot toy of 1996 for Christmas.
That's Nintendo, baby.
You know, and so
like when the Wii came out, and you know,
every aspect of Mario 64, from its gameplay to its influence to its irreverence and its library, is
fuck. That's why they just put the fucking
top notch.
Super Mario 3D All Stars.
You know, I really wish that I would have bought that if they did a graphical overhaul. It was just like upscaled. So,
yeah, whatever.
So I would have bought that, but it's still.
It's still.
It's a game that is.
It's literally the Trump on. Like
it's timeless.
It kind of just crosses out.
It's gonna take quite a bit, and I think, you know, the 64, when we do it the next time, because 64 is going through. Obviously, that's obvious. When the 64 meets the Dreamcast, that's going to be a really interesting discussion, because the Dreamcast has a lot of games in its launch lineup, and it's got some really good games. So it's going to be interesting to try to compare and contrast to see who moves out ahead. But it's very easy for us, I would say, right?
Yeah.
To move the Nintendo 64 forward above the Genesis.
God bless the Genesis.
You know, we don't even have to talk about Pilot Wings.
We don't, but even it's a sleeper.
And that's a great game too.
It's like it's. I think we mentioned it.
And
before.
It's very unique in the library. There's not really a game in the 64 library, or any library, like Pilot Wings 64.
It's like it's forgotten just because Mario 64 was out. You know.
Otherwise, it's a fantastic game. So the 64 is moving forward, and so now we've got a semifinal: the Dreamcast versus the Nintendo 64, and the Super Nintendo versus the NES. I think this is I would think these are the 4 best launches of all time. Do you agree?
So we said Dreamcast, Super Nintendo, Nintendo, and the 64.
Yeah.
3 out of the 4 are Nintendo brands.
But are you surprised?
I'm not. I mean, especially because it's. I mean, you had to be around then. I remember the launch of the Dreamcast. I don't remember the launch of the Super Nintendo, but I obviously remember getting one, and same with the Genesis.
We got one shortly after it came out.
I mean, we're talking about, you know, the 3 of the most, I guess 4 of the most iconic systems, and just 3 of them happen to be from Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, they own the industry back in the Nintendo Super Nintendo era. So,
I mean, they still do. You know,
and the games were groundbreaking. They're innovative. You know, Nintendo is an innovative company, and everybody follows them in a lot of ways. And at least back then they did. And so they were always at the cutting edge of a new either gameplay idea or a graphical thing. Nintendo always led with in terms of graphics and sound and just the wow factor. The Super Nintendo was the most powerful 16-bit console.
Oh, yeah.
The Nintendo 64 was the most powerful of that era as well. So, you know, they always kind of led. People always talk about how Nintendo isn't really the company that has the system with power.
Well,
but that's nowadays.
Yeah,
back then that was a different story.
With the Wii is where it kind of started.
Right. So
they just went a different direction. That's all.
Yeah. So I think, and I really do believe that these are probably the 4 best. You know, you can argue about one thing or another, but you can't argue with these are probably in the top 4 or 5. these are definitely some of the best launches that ever came. So it's going to be a really interesting discussion. Both sides, the NES versus the Super Nintendo, and the Dreamcast versus the 64. So
There's no
stay
losers.
Tuned, stay tuned for that. There aren't. I mean, even the Jaguar. The Jaguar's on the board. Jaguar's on the board.
Only because it existed.
I really wanted it on this list.
Only because it was a system that came out.
There might have been a little sleight of hand getting the Jaguar on here, but it was a fun conversation nonetheless. So why don't we get into our main events, which is our Halloween-inspired games.
This portion of our show has been brought to you by
Creepy crawlers! They're squirmy and wormy and purple and green. The grossest little creatures that you've ever seen. Creepy crawlers! Build a monster mold with the colored plastic goop and make a creepy crawler from a yucky monster soup. They're ucky, yucky, squirmy, wormy, very scary, sometimes hairy, squiggly, wiggly, creepy crawling. Creepy crawlers! Gross out your sister, embarrass your dad. You can be a little creep without being bad. Creepy Crawlers Workshop with plastic goof.
So what are we here for, everybody? We are here for some Halloween games, some spooky, and as you would say, some scary.
She a scary hoe.
Well, some might say that about Friday the 13th, and maybe not for the reasons that you would think. Friday the 13th was a NES game. It was released at the beginning of 1989.
1989!
And it was published by LJN, but a lot of people don't know this, even though that the
Taste the rainbow.
the zeitgeist of LJN is that they made all terrible games and that they made the games. But the truth of the matter is
Not
that
true.
That ain't true! That's not true! So get your facts straight.
they actually shopped out
That's
the
not
development.
true.
Get your facts straight. So they actually would contract out the development. LJN was not, in fact, a video game company. It was developed by Atlas.
They were just a shit factory.
It was developed by Atlas. Yes, that Atlas, right? The Atlas that has made,
In high regards.
they're a high regarded game. They're owned by Sega now, of course. Sega had to actually buy a company that made good games.
Hey, just slap our name on there.
So LJN was more of an action figure company, as you would know. They did figures for everything from
The big old rubber guys.
Indiana Jones, Dungeons and Dragons, and of course they did them for the WWF back in the 80s. So MCA was a movie production company, and they bought LJN in 1985, and it was really to increase profit margins because they wanted to integrate the toy lines into movies that they were coming out with. So, for instance, E.T. So they had E.T. the movie, and they wanted to make E.T. action figures to go along with the movie, and so
Terrible action figures, right? It's like a movie that doesn't like. You
right.
wouldn't think action figures with E.T.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
They did. I don't think they made them.
they made them. There was commercials.
Huh. Well, I don't think I've ever seen a E.T. action figure.
E.T. action figures. I mean,
Besides like the E.T. plush doll or
clearly
like things like that.
It didn't go anywhere. So, I mean, what's your perception of LJN in terms of like the WWF characters? Because those are very popular.
I mean, they're highly regarded.
They're iconic.
Yeah.
Those are the big rubber ones, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's not like anything to them. You're not like
you just smack
like
them against one another.
Yeah,
you know?
just just do dildos plopping against each other. But I mean, they're highly sought after.
You have a lot of them.
I probably have maybe 20, 25.
How many did they make?
Geez, I don't know. Probably at least double that.
Yeah.
At least. I mean, there's a lot of like random characters.
Well, I remember if you remember our friend Craig, who had a bunch of the.
I mean, that's where we ended up getting most of them.
But he had like Mr. Fuji. I remember.
I actually bought Mr. Fuji from him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with the cane. With his cane too.
Okay.
Which makes it even more valuable. And and all those ones were in really good condition.
And then for one Christmas, I think I got the Bulldogs.
Oh, you got it from him?
British Bulldogs.
Yeah, with the titles.
With
That's even more expensive.
Oh, really? How much does that go for?
I don't know now, but probably, if I had to take a guess, probably right now, like over 100.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it wasn't $100 that I spent for it, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, Jake the Snake. I think you got that Jake the Snake, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, with the snake.
With the snake. He had all the accessories.
Yeah, I remember because I remember I asked him. He had him from some collector that just was like, yeah, I don't want him anymore.
So in 1987, they started to publish video games based on the media licenses that they had. For instance, the Karate Kid.
Like, hey, we make figures. Fuck it, let's make some games.
Well, it's like merchandising, right? How many verticals can you find to make more money in based off of the movie? So video games was a natural progression. I mean,
yeah, because that was actually like the booming period of video games.
Right. The second boom, so to speak.
Game on everything. Merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. Spaceballs the t-shirt. Spaceballs the coloring book. Spaceballs the lunchbox. Spaceballs the breakfast cereal.
So the Karate Kid, which is, again, that's actually an Atlas game. It's one of the first games that Atlas ever created.
Oh, I remember Karate Kid.
And I had a Karate Kid as a kid, and I liked it.
Catch
I thought
those fucking flies.
It was hard. We just, like, as you would say, like in one of our previous episodes, we just thought it was hard.
Yeah.
You know, like we just thought it was difficult. It wasn't until much later that people started to get critical about gaming and
like, no,
and what's good
terrible.
and what's not good. And yeah. I'm sure I could play it and find some fun in it, but
yeah.
Back to the Future, Jaws, which is a personal favorite of mine, and then of course the aforementioned Friday the 13th. So credits, by the way, go to Norman, the gaming historian on YouTube. I took a lot of this information from his video, so check out the gaming historian.
Oh, so you plagiarizing now?
I'm not. I'm citing.
MLA.
I'm citing.
MLA.
Norman sold me my copy of Super Dodgeball. I love him. So Atlas previously created the Karate Kid. I mean, I didn't create this information on my own. It's not like I just come up with the information. Oh, I just know everything about these old games.
You had to give it a few seconds to hit the cerebellum of your brain, and you're like, wait.
You and your subtle bullshit.
You know what? I put a lot of time and effort into this. I don't need your bullshit.
I'm the one, late nights, doing the research.
Late nights.
Putting it on the paper.
Long rides. Going town to town.
Oldest ride.
While you're doing
Longest
nothing.
ride.
He's a nothing nobody has been. Never was. Never will be. Anyway, so LJN, something, Atlas.
Yeah. You should be Jay Lethal for Halloween, Samir.
Yeah, I don't think they can go over too well anymore.
Just wear the hair. Let's be a white guy with hair.
I think that would be like cultural appropriation.
Whatever, man. Whatever. So Atlas created Karate Kid, and they would go on to make actually Dungeon Explorer for the TurboGrafx.
Is that a solid game?
Mm-hmm.
Dungeon Explorer.
Very good. Yeah. I actually mentioned playing it through the PSP a while back. It was one of the downloadable titles on the PlayStation Network.
I was gonna say, it's on a collection disc.
No,
it'd be kind of odd.
They have a few TurboGrafx games on the PlayStation Network.
Like
Bonk is
they
on
did
there.
with the Wii U shop. They got the TurboGrafx games.
Yep. And then the very rare Jack Brothers for Virtual Boy was created by Atlas.
Are they brothers that Jack? I don't know me.
And a personal favorite of mine, actually, that Atlas created was Gunbird for the 32-bit platforms. So that the top-down shooter.
In U.S. on Saturn?
No, it was a foreign game.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from
Wait,
Japan.
do you have it?
I do.
Gunbird.
Yep.
Why do I feel like I just saw something about that?
Well, Gunbird 2 is a game that I want for Dreamcast, but it's like $100 or more.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Maybe you sent me a picture.
Yeah. I was bidding on one.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. I did not win. And then Snowboard Kids on Nintendo 64.
Snowboard Kids!
And Snowboard Kids 2. That's one of the ones you really like. Thousand Arms on PSX, which I believe is an RPG. And even Super Dodgeball Advance on the Game Boy Advance. So,
we're going deep into the Atlas.
Yeah, and then of course
titles.
The Persona series, which is a big PlayStation RPG series. Persona 4, Persona 5 Golden on the Vita. Those are more high profile modern games that a lot of the it's like
it's above my skill set.
Yeah, it's also just kind of like a deep cut, but you've got a lot of these anime nerds that love games like that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's kind of weird how
no
like,
disrespect.
how like a company like Atlas, there'd be like they just like every game they make is just like rare or
Right.
like it's just the value of it is just.
I just think a lot of their games are very Japan focused. It's very focused on the Japan market, and then some of them come over here, but they don't really.
But I'm saying like even which I didn't know at the time, that Rocking Cats on Nintendo is like Atlas, and that's like a super impossible to get game.
You own it?
Let's not talk about that. No, I had it.
I want to talk about that.
I had it. No, I mean I had it at one point. I had it. Bought him a Stop and Shop video back in the day.
Oh, really?
And I have no idea what happened to
Well,
it.
how does it play? What is it like?
It's like a side-scrolling game, but it's actually really good. It's I don't know, the graphic style kind of like Yonoid.
Oh, okay. It's like a
side, like Tiny Toon Adventures, like that graphic kind of style, kind of like that. But it's really good. Who would have just thought? It's I don't even know, maybe $200 now. I don't know.
Wow. So Friday the 13th is an action adventure game, literally action and adventure. And it has a couple of different gameplay styles. So you have
let's not stress the action and adventure too much.
Let's temper our feelings for the game, and let's just get through exactly what it is. I know you're opinionated about it. So there are side-scrolling sections that for the most part you're outside. You're walking down paths around Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, it's like keep scrolling. What? Keep scrolling. That's what you do in the game.
You know, and of course, you know, from the iconic enemies from all the Friday the 13th movies, the zombies.
Yeah, the dirt zombies, the water zombies, the tree zombies.
They just fill the screen.
The vinyl siding zombies.
All the zombies that we remember and love from the Friday the 13th games.
All the memorable characters.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And basically, you're just waiting for Jason to show up in one of the cabins. It's almost like you're kind of walking around trying to get better weapons to show up as you're killing the zombies, and then waiting for
as they randomly show up,
waiting for Jason
or don't show up,
waiting for Jason to show up in a cabin that either has another counselor or the campers that you have to go and save by fighting Jason and either beating him enough that he goes away or by killing him.
One sliver at a time.
Yeah, and it's you really have to focus on the map, because depending on where you are, you have to walk in either, you know, one of the circles around the lake to get to Jason.
One of the many circles you walk around in.
Yeah. It's pretty reminiscent of games like Jaws or like Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, where in the original Ghostbusters you're driving around in the Ecto-1 and you're just waiting for the ghosts to basically go to a certain building, and then you have to try to go to that building.
Suck them up with your proton pack.
Yeah, exactly. A building will flash, and you'll go and you'll get them, and then you'll wait for the next building. Or in Jaws, where you can see that fin kind of like going through the water, and then you have these encounters with almost like the boss, even though it's not the end of the game.
And Ghostbusters was LJN?
It was published by LJN.
I wonder how that meeting went.
What?
Well, just for the game. Hey, we got the license for Friday the 13th. How about we just do what we did for Ghostbusters, and it's just I can't.
Well, Ghostbusters wasn't made by LJN.
Oh, I just said that, and you said yes.
Jaws. You said Jaws. You said Jaws was LJN. I said yes.
That ain't true! That's not true! So get your facts straight.
You sure?
Yes.
I guess we'll have to play the tape back later.
You said Jaws. The game takes place over 3 days, and you have 6 counselors, and the 6 counselors are spread out.
It feels like 3 days.
Yeah, the counselors are spread out over the various cabins. And so basically you can switch in, between the counselors themselves to maybe get closer to wherever the action is happening. But most of the fights happen inside of the cabins, and so you have to go there and fight Jason.
That's where the action happens.
Yeah, and the goal is to keep as many of the counselors and children alive until the end. Each of the counselors has their own certain attributes related to running, jumping, rowing that make them better for certain tasks. There's also, like I said, the 15 campers split between the 3 lakeside cabins, and they need to be saved sometimes as well. The cabin sections are much more exploratory in that it's more of like
exploratory.
It's more of like a point and click style, almost like a Goonies 2, where you're going into like a room and you have to explore that room, whether it's to light a fireplace or talk to a character or give them an item. So there's almost the 2 different aspects of Friday the 13th, and that's also where most of the fights happen against Jason.
Yeah.
And you interact with the environment. You can heal characters there. You can get weapons from other characters there. There are some fights with Jason in the side-scrolling section as well, but most of them are in those cabins. And he gets more dangerous and faster in his attacks the further you get into the game. So even on the first day, by the second or third fight, he's already got a machete.
Yeah, it was on the second. Yeah, I think it was on the second. It was only the second one. He already had the machete.
Yeah, it controls decently.
Yeah, when you're walking around. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a progression system with the weapons and the items by either killing more enemies, and items appearing, or maybe accomplishing a task. So, one of the tasks in the game is to light all the fireplaces in the large cabins around Camp Crystal Lake. If you do that, you get a torch, and the torch is one of the most powerful weapons in the game. And so, there's a way to kind of build up your leveling almost through the tasks that you're doing throughout the world.
It's a healthy task too, because they are spread rather far apart.
Everything works well structurally in terms of like the controls, but the game doesn't really offer a whole lot of variety or satisfaction.
It's just throwing rocks at zombies that pop up. That's it.
Yeah, it's there's not a whole lot of, you get done with a battle and you just feel like, yeah, that was great. At times it can just feel like busy work. The game can just feel like busy work.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you're literally just walking until something randomly happens.
Yeah, like the ladies' man.
Yeah, I will have sex, and something will randomly happen. It will work out.
Let's talk about the music. So the music, there's 2 songs. That's in the cabins, yeah. And then there's a 5-note track that plays over and over.
Like the first time you play, you're like, oh, that's catchy, and then it's just the whole game.
Right. So,
and then when you get to when you get to Jason, it switches up. It almost sounds like like when you get to the dungeon castle and like Mario.
Right. Right. There's I get you. I don't think it's the same song, but
no, but it has that same kind of vibe.
Yep, I got you. Yep. So and then at the end of the game, after you beat it, it's just an ending, and it says, "You defeated Jason, or did you? We're not telling."
Yeah, because he never really dies.
And he looks like dead or knocked out on the floor, and that's Friday the 13th. I mean, I don't know if there's a whole lot more to say about it. I think this would be possibly a good rental type of game, maybe. But I think you would have been disappointed should you have bought
it. If you paid $49.99 for it.
Yeah, I mean, just to give you an example here, EGM gave it a 4, a 3, and a 2.
So almost better than Dodgeball.
All right, well, what do you think? Is Dodgeball a better game, or is?
No, I'm saying according to their rating. I mean, someone gave it a Dodgeball a 3.
Yeah.
Right.
So would you like to hear a review?
Obviously, if it's 3, 2, 3, and 4.
This is from Ed Semrad.
Friday the 13th, a very poor game that displays little of what an action-adventure game should contain. The action portions of play are sparse, the adventure offers little challenge, and the whole thing is topped off with graphics that are just plain bad. Friday the 13th is not very enjoyable at all.
I wouldn't say
sounds like a review from Pat Musin, my buddy Pat.
So was he getting paid off by Capcom or something for this review? I mean,
I've never heard of that. Like a reviewer getting paid to give a negative review. It's usually just to give a positive review.
Yeah, you would think that's why they're gonna throw you a little swerve.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, the graphics are bad. I mean, does it look that different from like any other like side-scrolling Nintendo game? Not really.
No. I don't think the graphics are bad for an NES game.
Yeah. Oh well, that's what he brought up. He said the graphics are bad.
I think.
I mean, it's just repeating the same thing
honestly,
over and over again, though.
Let's talk about EGM for a minute, just a quick minute. I think when I read their old reviews, they're filled with a lot of hyperbole. So it's like either something is just so bad that they want to just drown it, and they'll just drown everything about the game, or it's really great and everything is amazing. You know, you tend, especially like these early years of EGM in certain
like
cases,
either 2s and 3s or 8s and 9s.
Yeah, and then like Game Pro is just like everything's great. You know, like buy every game, they're all awesome. You know?
Oh no, I mean,
you know what I mean though. Like that's the feeling you get.
You.
But I don't know. I think I came away from this game after playing it just saying they just didn't do enough. It's too hard in the beginning. You're not able to get a strong enough weapon. You take too much damage.
Well, yeah, there's no progression.
There's no variety really.
Because the weapons. So if you never played it, you can get a knife and then the machete.
If you kill 50 zombies.
Okay, so the knife. It's not like you kill a few guys and it pops up. You just walk around and it just randomly pops up.
Mm-hmm. It will randomly
happen. You can either start the game and there's a knife right away, or you could play for a half hour and not get a knife.
But then you get the machete, and there are knives showing up all over the place.
As soon as you get the machete, like 3 knives just randomly popped up everywhere.
And if you get a knife, you have to use the knife now, and you can't use the machete.
Well, I mean, you can just avoid it, like
going off the screen,
the old school way of
letting the video memory run out, and then going back.
And then just even in the basics, so you start off with a rock to throw, but if you're standing and you have a zombie ahead of you, the way you throw it is not straight; it arcs. It's like you're kind of like a hill. So you actually throw the rock over them,
over their heads. You have to duck, or you have to get away.
Yeah, and they take 3 hits too
with the rock. With the machete, it's 1, so it's a little bit easier. But I think. There are certain games where they're difficult and you can get good at them, and that makes them satisfying. I think even if you learned how to play this game really well, I think you'd still want to shoot yourself in the head at the end of it, because I don't think it's fun. I don't think it's satisfying. I don't.
Yeah, you're just kind of
busy work.
You're going through the motions until you can get to Jason. You just kind of.
But even when you beat him in a section, it's like, okay, I did that, I guess, and then
because it's like
you also have like moments of despair, because you're like, even though I got him to go away, I know he's coming back, and I know I'm gonna die
because his life bar is like infinite almost, and every time you face him, it'll take about 2 bars.
Yeah,
and there's 100
more if you have the machete, but but it's just it's like Jaws in that way, where you have to get your levels up, but Jaws is a lot more manageable, because you're not going to get hit if you just know what to do in the game. Yeah. It's just very, very easy to get out of the way of Jaws. And maybe that's it. Maybe you just have to play the game more. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a game that is very fun to me. It's just it's iconic for the fact that it's Friday the 13th. It's iconic for the fact that it's made by LJN, and it's got its interesting points, but I don't think it measures up.
Yeah, I mean, I really can't argue with that.
I hate to say it, but
no, yeah. And then, so I mean, there's like just a few simple things. They just like the one with the throwing your weapon. That's just like a basic thing that they kind of already screwed when you start. And then
I think maybe they intended on making it that difficult, though. Maybe they wanted you to have to.
I guess
sometimes things like seem smart and practical, like when you put them on paper, but then when you actually implement them, it's not.
Yeah, but like you said, it's literally just the same game over. It's not like the enemies really get harder. They're just
they're
constantly. They're just constantly. They're just like there over and over again. There's not like you level up and then the enemies get harder and then you have more power ups. Kind of.
Right.
They just stay the same. Maybe they pop up more. I don't know if I don't know if there was just like more of them, But yeah, you're just walking around a dirt path the whole time in a circle.
I think the thing that hurts the game the most is the difficulty. I think the fact that your health bar goes down so fast, especially in the Jason fights, that it's just you even, like I said, even when you win those fights, you feel like, well, I know he's just gonna pop out of the screen and get some health off here, and it's just gonna be like, death by 1,000 cuts. In a way.
Yeah, and there's like certain things I guess you can avoid getting hit, like when it turns to like night or whatever, and then there's like the hawk or whatever. You can't duck. Like you can crouch and he just hits you anyway.
Right. And if you don't have the machete, you can't kill him in one shot and he's gonna hit you.
Yeah. Or when you get in the boat and you're going across the water, sometimes Jason will just randomly cross the water. You can't. There's no way to avoid him. It just takes a third of your life away. When you're going to Jason.
I don't think in the boat it takes a third of your life. I think it takes less of your life away in the boat.
But
it takes some of your life
it's a good
away.
chunk when you just have a full life bar. You're going to Jason.
But that's the thing, is like, that you're going to get killed after, and then you might hit a zombie by mistake, and it's like, oh, there goes another 3 bars.
And then so when you go to fight Jason, if you've played like Punch Out, it's a similar kind of, you got to dodge left and right. But the thing,
it's like fighting the Sandman.
Yeah, but the thing that's different from Punch Out is Punch Out's
good.
But you're in one spot, so you just can hit left and right to dodge. But
you almost need to do that in this game.
Yeah, but you have to hold down,
right,
because if you hit left and right, then your character will move left and right.
Right.
So the thing is, you have to hold down, and then like a diagonal left and a diagonal right.
Right.
But which sometimes you'll just end up moving to the left and right, and like he hits you. It's like a third of your life in like one punch.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
So I mean, that's kind of, I don't know how else they would have done that battle with having to like dodge left and right without holding down. I don't know.
Make it
or just a whole different.
Make it more like a Punch Out fight, and just have him stand still.
Yeah.
And make it, and have him let him move around, but at the same time you're just.
But it's set up just like Punch Out.
Yeah, I wonder if they could have implemented where you have a button press to hold the character in place.
Yeah, like if you hold B.
Like hold B and he won't move, so you can just move left and right to dodge.
That would have meant they put some thought into it.
Well, that if the playtesting, if there was playtesting.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying, like that might have been something they would have found and said, we can improve on this way, and just, I think they probably just got it out.
But it's not even like that would be a hard thing to do. It's like, program this button, it holds it, and then you just hit left and right,
Yeah.
It's like they got like half of it right. Like when you're walking around, it plays fine.
That's the thing is I think that there's something here with this game that it could have been good.
As can be with like
but
majority of games. No, I know what you're saying.
The premise, the whole idea of the kind of the open-ended world, and you're walking around. I think if it was given a few more months and they kind of just play tested this thing and found, okay, we need to kind of back off here, or make it different here, or maybe make them faster, or whatever it was. Make the spawning of the weapons a lot faster. Maybe make Jason's energy level not as high. Whatever, just something to balance out the game a little bit, because it just seems like it's way tilted in the difficulty. So,
and then I mean, I don't know if it's a positive or a negative, but they do the 6 counselors you can pick. They actually do handle different. Some of them can run faster and jump higher.
Mark and Chrissy, baby.
Some of them run slow. I don't know if that's a negative or a positive. I guess it's a negative.
It's a negative if you're trying to get somewhere fast.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you can either use them at the beginning or use the faster ones later. I don't know.
I think the whole idea with the game is you're supposed to kind of balance with each character. Like you want to use one character to go to one cabin, and you want another character. Yeah, you keep switching them out, and it's like I don't know. For me, like I don't want to do that. I just want to get one character, and I want to run everywhere and do everything.
Boom, 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 boom.
And then it's just by having to switch off. It's too much for my brain. It's just too much for my brain.
It's too much and not enough.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have given it 4-4-3-2. I think maybe that's not doing it.
I mean, I think it's I don't know. If you're looking at it in terms of you bought it brand new, and if you're grading it on value.
Well, you would have played this game if you bought this game. You would. I mean, you would.
No, I know
it's not Virtual Bart.
Is that
you would
is that
kept trying.
kind of like the standard now, like virtual Bart
Please.
for like the low standard?
Yes, it's not virtual Bart. I don't know. I think it's at least a 5. You know, I think it's
I was gonna say
halfway.
6, but then I was almost kind of second guessing because
5.9. 5.9.
I'll go 5.5. I'm not gonna go that ridiculous as
no.
a 5.9.
No, okay. Trying to get you to 6.
But even 5.5. I mean, if you come across it for a couple bucks, pick it up. I mean, it's definitely worth the play just to kind of experience it.
Oh, how much does it go for?
I got it for 12, so it's around 10, 12 bucks.
Yeah, if you can find it for cheap, if you're willing to spend that much, then I would say try it. I mean, you can.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to play for about maybe 45 minutes.
I mean, that's the thing about these games, though. I mean, you can always buy them and then you can resell them if you don't really like them. So I mean, it gives you a chance to try them, or just fire it up on an emulator.
Yeah,
you know, that's the way to go if you want to just do it that way. You know. Yeah, but that's kind of all I have to say about that. I mean, I have a brief memory of this. I don't know if you have memories of this game.
I mean, about the same. I remember Justin Donato. I'm pretty sure he had it, and it kind of plays exactly how I remembered it. Mm-hmm. Just running around, like walking around in a circle until something happened, and then you would finally find Jason. That first time he'd pop out,
right?
You know. But I mean, there's not like any crazy memory of the game or any like I'm attached to it in any way.
I just remember when we moved to Columbia and we had the Nintendo. I remember my brother had this one of his best friends when he first moved. His name was Adam Shaw, and this kid was an only child, and he was the kid that had like
all the games.
He had everything. I remember when Shaquille O'Neal got
with his shoes
when he got far. No, listen to this. When he got far into the NCAA tournament with LSU.
Oh jeez.
He was
blue chip status.
Yeah, he was like I'm getting a Shaquille O'Neal jersey tomorrow.
Damn, an LSU Shaq jersey.
Yeah, he's like I'm getting my stepdad to get me one. You know, it was like and Adam would get it. Like Adam would, or he'd get a hat, or he would just get whatever he wanted. You know, he was that kind of kid. And I remember him one day. We had. I think it was right around the time that we had gotten the Genesis, or maybe right before. But I remember him coming over the house and bringing with him Friday the 13th for him and Sebi to play together. And it was one of those things where, like, and I don't think it was because it was too scary, but like he wouldn't let me in the room. It was like
that's because he just didn't want to hang out with you.
He just didn't want to hang out with me. But I remember that was like the game they played that night, and I was kind of shut out of that. But I remember this kid brought over, it was probably 1990, you know, maybe late 1990. So it could have been like right around Halloween for 1990, you know, before we moved into the new house, and he brought over Friday the. I mean, that would be kind of a fun thing to do, you know, during Halloween.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, like the year after that. The year.
Oh
after
yeah,
this
I mean,
came
if
out.
you were going to Blockbuster or wherever back then, and it's definitely a rental game.
Right.
You would definitely get your 3 days worth out of it.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. Yeah.
Could live with it, live without it.
You could live without it, but I think it's one of those often forgotten Halloween type games that exists. I mean, it's out there, you know. So if you're looking for a game to play that kind of sets the mood for Halloween, I think it definitely sets the mood for Halloween.
It's definitely like a first kind of like the jump scare kind of game.
Yeah, it does have those.
Yeah,
especially when Jason comes on the screen.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
In the cabin,
yeah.
You're like, oh, here he is.
Even though you know he's in there,
yeah.
You're just kind of like clicking left and right until whoop.
Well, because it's serious. It becomes real when that music changes. You know. All right. So the other game that I wanted to talk about was a game that is a game that I grew up with, and that's Ghouls and Ghosts. So, and this is specifically on the Sega Genesis platform. So, Sega was doing something at the very beginning of the Genesis because they wanted to bring in some third-party support, but it was a time when Nintendo was still really heavily on top. I mean, I don't think Mario 3 hadn't even come out yet. And so Nintendo was everything. And so Sega was trying to find new ways to bring arcade experiences to the home because that was the whole selling point of the Genesis. And so they contracted with Capcom, even though Capcom had to have their loyalty to Nintendo. And this could have very well been in the time that Nintendo was just starting to get broken up from their monopoly and forcing the publishers to stick, forcing them to stay on the platform for every game that they made. But either that or maybe Capcom just wanted to focus on more arcade development, but they licensed out games like Forgotten Worlds, games like Strider, games like Ghouls and Ghosts to Sega, and then Sega would have their own programmers make the game from the arcade game code and have it on the Genesis. One of the benefits was that the CPS platform, which is what Capcom used, was the same processor, the same CPU. The 68000 Motorola was the same processor in both the Genesis and the CPS. So those conversions likely were a lot easier to do, even if they had to be scaled back a touch. So it was developed by Sega. In fact, it was developed by Yuji Naka of Sonic the Hedgehog fame.
Oh, yes, you did.
One of his games that he made right before the advent of Sonic the Hedgehog. So it came out in late 1989, about October, which makes sense. After the game released on the CPS platform in December of '88. So think about that. In a matter of probably 6-7 months, he had to make this game.
After the first Sonic? Or what are you talking about?
After Ghouls and Ghosts came out in the arcade.
So
Ghouls and Ghosts comes out in the arcade in December of '88.
Right, I got you.
And then right after launch of the Genesis in America, Ghouls and Ghosts comes out on the Genesis. So he must have had less than 6 months to make the game, because you think about, like, the carts have to be created, the thing's got to be have its bugs.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, they get like the development kits before the system comes out, so we probably. Or are you saying it came out? Oh, it came out 6 months in the arcade before the Genesis version. Okay.
Well, like 10 months, but like in terms of them being able to sign the deal and then get them to start working on it, and then it's got to be completed, because now they got to start creating the carts to get them out to the stores. So you gotta think at the most he would have like 6 months to make the game, which is incredible that they were able to turn it around and do that. But Capcom wasn't unfriendly the way that Konami, had kind of its balls tied to Nintendo. So they were able to license stuff to Sega. And I think it bore fruit for Sega. They had that arcade at home experience, and whether it's Forgotten Worlds or whether it's Strider or Ghouls and Ghosts, these were very, very faithful ports to the arcade experience. That was really evident. So the story of Ghouls and Ghosts is one that we've heard many times before.
Is there a damsel in distress?
There is Princess Prin, and she is her soul is taken by Lucifer or Loki.
Suck the soul out you.
And Arthur has to fight through 5 levels plus an ending fight with Lucifer. Lucifer took all the souls of the people of the kingdom. You have to save the land and return the souls to the people, including Princess Prin.
Prin, huh?
Prin. The music of Ghouls and Ghosts, it kind of, like I had mentioned before, it kind of bucks the perception of the Genesis has shitty sound. It actually has it's got like a piercing soundtrack, but that fits the scenes really, really well. The music is sort of unique in that it's playful but spooky at the same time. It's almost like it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a spooky game, but one that is meant to be a fun time and light, nothing too crazy and serious.
Time.
Yeah. But there's some great music. The third level is called Baron Wrinkle's Tower, and it just kind of typifies that spooky but playful kind of atmosphere that the music creates. Very crisp, very clear, does its job, very memorable. You find yourself humming the tunes like well after you're playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've only played it a few times. Did we play it? Did we play it?
I don't think so. I played through it, but I don't know.
What was the one we played when you were in Manchester at the condo?
Was it a Ghouls and Ghosts type game?
Yeah.
Ghouls and Ghosts.
Oh, so we did play through it. Because don't you have to play through it twice?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
We did it? I mean, it was more you. I didn't really play that much.
Oh, all right.
I'm not good at it.
It's a game that teaches you as you go. People talk about how brutally hard Ghouls and Ghosts is. Now, I would say that about Ghosts and Goblins, especially the Micronix version that came out for the NES, which is not great.
Well, what's the Super Nintendo one? Is
Super
that
Ghouls
Ghosts
and
and
Ghosts.
Goblins? Super Ghouls and Ghosts?
Super Ghouls and
I have
Ghosts.
that.
Yeah, and that's a kind of a different kind of a game. You know, it's that's almost like in a way it's kind of like a puzzle game. The way you're kind of like jumping through and having to like fit in spots in certain sections. It just plays a little bit different. But you know, this is very much a, you know, you have to know what the patterns of the bosses are, and you have to know where to be and when to be, and you also have to be quick-witted. So. But it's a game that teaches you as you go. It's got infinite continues, which is really great because it allows you to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes and come back and do a better job and get better. And unlike games like Friday the 13th, where it just seems mundane, everything from the music to the gameplay, it's all stuff you want to come back to. The graphics are awesome, especially for an early Genesis game. It's not, you know, it's really not a hard game after you kind of understand and learn it. But it's really rewarding once you actually do clear those sections. What's not rewarding is the ending. After you beat the main game, you're forced to go back to the beginning of the game after proving yourself, and you have to find a special weapon from the goddess of power to beat Loki or Lucifer. You go all the way back.
Yeah, because I remember
in the second playthrough and actually get to the boss.
I feel like we played it, and I don't. Did you know that at the time that you had to play it twice?
I did not.
Yeah, because I think we did it.
I did not.
And you were like, "Well, fuck."
That's right. Like... And we played it. We played it on the PVM.
Oh yeah,
the mini
PVM. The mini TV.
That's right. And we could barely see it. Arthur was this big on the screen. But yeah, so
it's like, how fucking shitty is that? There's a couple games that have done that. It's like, oh, you played through it once. Oh, well, now you got to beat it again.
But you know
or
what?
Where
though?
It's
the second time you play through it, though, that weapon is so powerful that you breeze through it. That second playthrough.
Wasn't the Punisher when we played it, right? It's like you played on medium, and it's like, oh,
well, no, it said to get the real ending, you got to play on hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, I get it. I understand. But it's such a fun game and it's so quick. It's actually not that long of a game when you
like an hour maybe.
Yeah, it's not. If you know what you're doing, it's not too long. But that's the thing is you just it has replay value in that you just kind of learn over and over as you're playing over and over again, and it's fun. It's fun to go back to those levels and play. But once you get you go back to the beginning, the goddess of power, she keeps that like magical weapon in her magic box.
It's called a pussy.
I couldn't help myself. So there's this database that I use for scores for the games, and
scores.
Yeah, for EGM scores.
Oh.
And it said that EGM gave it a 9999, but when I looked at the review,
they gave it a Dreamcast.
It's not. Yeah, it's actually they never really gave it a score. They just they made it the game of the month. It was the game of the month for, and that's kind of a misnomer too. It was November-December of 1989.
Yeah, I feel like some of when it was the November-December, they made those huge issues because it was like the holiday time. So they're like,
well, this is early. This is only the fourth issue of EGM ever.
Maybe they were only doing maybe for the holiday one they were just like, we're gonna just double stuff it.
Yeah,
for the holiday. So I remember getting some of those EGMs back then around like November, December, and they were like twice as thick as the other ones because it was just filled with ads.
So this one was reviewed by Steve Harris. There's actually like a mini guide. It shows you
I'm saying
the first couple levels.
It looks like a Nintendo Power magazine.
Sort of, yeah.
They have like the screenshots
you see, like,
of the whole
screens,
game.
like, they're all like stitched together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he says at the end that Ghouls and Ghosts is a fantastic game and an absolute must-have for the all new Genesis.
So they didn't even give it like their.
It's nearly flawless in every detail.
So they're like standard, where they have the little blurb and then everyone gives it a rating. It's just kind of like, the featured game, and then they just tell you to get it.
Yeah. So if I may speak personally now,
nope.
It really kind of pisses me off and irritates me when people criticize this game and nitpick on it and say like the Super Graphics port is better. Which I almost fired up on the TurboGrafx Mini. It's the Super Graphics was the successor to the TurboGrafx, but it was the same 8-bit CPU, but they just like blew out the RAM and blew out all the extras in terms
is that when you switched over to the Japanese one, or is it on the US?
It's only in Japan.
Yeah,
and it had like 6 games. They only made like 6 games for it that were dedicated.
No, I'm saying like when you
Super
turn, because on the Mini you can change it to US and Japanese.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, on the Mini, there's US games, and then if you press the button, it switches it over to only the Japanese games.
Right. Maybe that's where the
so I didn't. Yeah, I probably
Daiyo Nakamura, the super graphics version of it. But I honestly, I looked at both of them today, side by side, and I still think the Genesis has better detail. It's just that I think there might have been a little bit more time for the super graphics version to come out, and so they added a couple of graphical touches. But this, I mean,
who the hell's gonna play it on there anyway?
When this game came out, this was like an event game back in 1989. And I actually missed that because I didn't play it until 91. But even then, it was just an amazing game to play. I mean, it was an event game. It was a huge title. It was one of the marquee Genesis titles that came out from 1989 all the way through probably the black box era. It was always a game that we could come back to and play and have an awesome time with, and everything. I mean, the graphical effects and the music. It really was an awesome game. We never beat it as kids. I used to go over to my friend Matt's house and we used to play it over there. And amongst the massive library of Genesis games that him and his brothers had, and it was one of those games that Genesis had that was just like you knew you couldn't play that anywhere else. You had to go to the Genesis for it, and you weren't going to be able to play anything like that anywhere else. So it was a great game. It's still a great game. I cleared it through last year all the way with I beat Loki last year with the special weapon, and that was kind of fun. And I was like, all right, I finally did it. Like I've loved this game forever, but I haven't actually like nut up, And so I was like, all right, let's just do this. And finally was able to clear it. So yeah, there was a lot of those types of games that we played over at Matt's house, and Ghouls and Ghosts was one of them. So
nice, got it out of your system.
Yeah, we got it out. We got it. But again, another game that is, I mean, it's a spooky game. I mean, can you consider it like a Halloween type game? I think so.
Oh yeah, I mean, just in that first, there's ghosts.
The first level is a graveyard. I don't think there's any actual boo type ghosts in the game. I think it's more like possession. Then you got like it's
characters. Isn't it like like the graveyard kind of setting in the first level? There's tombstones.
There's like the zombies. And then the sickle creatures and stuff like that. And
yeah, of course.
So it's definitely got that spooky vibe, and then even like the different levels you go in are just demonic. Yeah,
I don't even. I mean, I remember we did it. I just don't remember like any parts of the game. Besides the first level, because that was like the only one I could get past maybe every once in a while.
With the shielder, the boss. I mean, that's the other thing. The boss is
I was just
massive
because I don't even remember like the bosses.
So the first one is called Shielder, and he's like this demon that is guarding the door, and he's green and he shoots fireballs and he's just menacing looking. It's just it's really impressive even today to see it. And then the second boss is you play in the village, and the second boss is Cerberus. He's a fire wolf or something like that. The third boss is a cloud eye demon. It's like an eye with like clouds around it, and it runs around. And then the fourth boss is like this massive demonic caterpillar. You have to like bust his like pustules that are kind of like
fucking human pus.
Yeah, they're when you see them kind of come out of his skin, you have to throw your weapon at it to burst it, and you have to do like 5 of them. And then the last boss is Beelzebub. I think it's called Beelzebub. It's a big fly. And then after that, that's when you go back to the front, and then you got to get the special weapon, and then you fight Lucifer in the end. So, and then it's in the end, it's like you saved her soul, but what's funny about this version is that everything in the beginning about the story elements is totally gone. So when you start the game, you don't even know what you're like why am I fighting, So that would have been one thing they could have made better is an introduction to know why you're actually in a graveyard and why you're fighting things. But at the end of the day,
it's an arcade game, right?
It doesn't really matter. It's just it's such an awesome, and Yuji Naka deserves mad props, as we would say, for just how he developed this game. I mean, it plays perfectly, and to do that in 6 months was a heavy task. And you know that they didn't treat these developers well. They were just like, get in your box and make the game.
Get in there, ho.
Peon. But this is a great game.
Don't leave until you got a hit.
This is a great game to play for Halloween. It's not too expensive. Again, not too, like, in terms of like a loose cart. You're gonna
15,
maybe $15-$20 you're gonna spend on a loose cart here. So I would do it. If you have a couple extra bucks, I would say go to Ghouls and Ghosts before you get Friday the 13th.
All day.
Yeah, you will not be disappointed. And so next year maybe we'll bring in some other Halloween type games. We'll have to come up with like a list, of the top Halloween games.
The top 10 Halloween hidden gems.
What's the Jaguar got for Halloween Halloween games?
Cybermorph.
Ooh, that is ghastly because it's that terrible.
It's a fight.
Wolfenstein?
Yeah, I guess you could say Wolfenstein or Doom.
Doom is definitely. You're now a resident Jaguar expert, just so you know.
Maybe Ultra Vortek, the fighting game.
Is it supposed to be like evil, demonic, or something?
Yeah, it's like Mortal Kombat. I don't know. I don't think there's any other like a scary or just any kind of Halloween type theme that would even relate to Halloween. I don't think so. Isn't the Jaguar's forte?
One of the ones we didn't mention was Tempest 2000, right?
What do you mean?
When you were going through that list.
Oh, I didn't.
I don't think you mentioned that. And that's
because I don't have the box for it.
That's a great game though too.
Oh yeah,
and
it really is good.
And that did originate on the Jag. So I'm done talking about the Jag.
Are you really though?
Tapped out. But with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, for listening in. Again, feel free to give us suggestions or thoughts on the podcast. We are the Turbo Duo on Facebook. We are the Turbo Duo on Instagram. You can hit us up.
And we are the Turbo Duo in life.
The Turbo Duo at gmail.com. So feel free to send us an email. And we love getting suggestions on the show on episodes you'd like to see, maybe games you'd like to see, maybe segments you'd like to see, and we will decide.
Pieces you'd like to see.
We will.
Celebrity pieces.
They make websites like that anymore?
Oh, Mr. Skin.
Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it's still around.
Oh,
I don't know how popular it is, but it's a thing. I don't know. So I've heard.
Yeah. So
a bit ado.
So feel free to hit us up if you guys feel inclined. But with that, have a great rest of, again, wherever the hell you are, doing whatever the hell you're doing. Be safe, be happy, have a wonderful Halloween, be healthy, and as always, keep it turbo. Ooh, you're scaring me. Ooh.